OG.
OG.
It is time that we do something new.
Joe Ovius and Joe Gillia.
By doing something new, I mean doing something old, but we're bringing it back, so it's basically new. Here we go.
Oh my God. Technology. Did I do it? Did I really do it? Did I get rid of the echo? Talk for me 1 second, Anthony, please.
Hello. How are we?
Oh my gosh. I might have done it. It's the OG. I'm Joe Gilio. I am so proud of myself. I was so disappointed yesterday. I went immediately to a store. It's not a sponsor, so I'm not going to say their name, but I tried to solve some of our audio problems. I think I did. We're here at the Eford Studios, thanks to our friends at Empire Eats. Anthony Guerra, the czar of Oakwood Pizza Box, back for day 2. I think now complete without technological problems. Maybe. Fingers crossed.
I thought the echo was kind of an interesting approach to podcasting. I think it's not been done. I don't think it's been done. Is anyone doing that right now? Is anyone on that?
I don't know. The content was good yesterday. The quality was slightly off. I'm not going to lie to you. I called you from the parking lot of the store and I'm like, it sounds terrible. I don't know what I did wrong, but I think I fixed it. So I'm feeling good about that.
And I told my wife, and she was like, "Oh, did it get released? Like, I want to listen to it." And I was like, "I think Joe told me he's not. I think it's going to get canned. I don't think it's real." But then Twitter told me it was real.
Twitter said it was real, and it was good. It was real and spectacular. So let's get back to it because the news of the day today, and I was ready to come in here flaming hot takes for you today. I was ready to give you my best, Francesa today about Rod Brind'Amour not making the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I heard the news yesterday. Shout out to, again, Empire Eats was over at the Raleigh Times. My mom turned 80. My mom and dad turned 80 this year. So my mom volunteers down at Marbles, the kids museum downtown. So occasionally their crew will come to my parents' house. Well, we decided to do it at the Raleigh Times. They came over there yesterday. A lot of her friends, big shouts to all of them. That's a great group that has helped keep her young at 80. When we're 80, if we get to 80, if your genes are like mine, I'm not sure we will. But if we get to 80, I hope we have a group of people in their 30s and 40s and 20s who keep us young the same way the Marbles crew does for Nora.
Nora's the best.
So we're getting in, we're hanging out, and then all of a sudden, one of the Marbles people goes, "Hey, did you see that Brind'Amour didn't get in the Hall of Fame?" And I'm like, "Wait, what? He didn't?" And I was all ready to be hot about this, and then by the time I got home, because I've had hot takes on this about politics, about Ron Francis being on the board, about really this is about maybe there's some sort of anti-Canes bias here. They're not in Canada. People don't like that this franchise has had success as quickly as it has had success. But here's the truth of the matter. I went home and I read the story on ESPN about the group of players that made the Hall of Fame. And I read a little bit about the process of making the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm going to let you unleash in a second, but because I could see your face.
No. All I'm going to say is I'm not the biggest hockey guy, but I'm going to ask you, is he a Hall of Famer?
I believe that Rod Brind'Amour is a Hall of Famer. I believe that Rod Brind'Amour belongs in the Hall of Fame. I do think there is a political portion of this process. And when I say that, Ron Francis was one of his teammates with the Carolina Hurricanes. They played together. And then when Ron Francis was the GM, Rod was one of the assistant coaches, a player and an assistant coach. When ultimately Rod became the head coach, he was elevated by Tom Dundon. I don't think Tom made the cleanest break in the history of sports with Ron. Okay. And I can understand Ron's having an axe to grind with Tom Dundon. I can't understand him having an axe to grind with his former teammate, Rod Brind'Amour. All of that said, I believe Rod Brind'Amour eventually will be in the Hall of Fame. And this is why I say that. I went home, I read the ESPN story, and it was our friend Greg Wyshynski who wrote the story. And I'm reading about the players who were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I looked at it, and Tom Barrasso, Penguins goalie, actually is a good friend of Ron Francis's, believe it or not. But he helped the Penguins win 2 cups. He did play for the Canes eventually, right? But he got in, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's really cool. He was the NHL's best goalie in one of the years that he played in Buffalo. Cool. He's 20th all times and wins. Cool. Here's the part that stuck out to me from Greg Wyshynski's story. Barrasso has been eligible for the Hall of Fame since 2006. That's 17 years by my math that he had to wait. One of the other goalies that got in was Mike Vernon. Okay, Mike Vernon actually ended up also winning 2 cups. Now, this is important, Anthony, because while Rod led the Canes to a cup, we are talking about the Hall of Fame, and it does seem to be multiple cup winners. Now, I realize Pierre Turgeon's about to be screaming at me, but you look at Mike Vernon, here's the other part, and he helped the Flames win one, he helped the Red Wings win one. Pretty much you or I could have played goalie for the Red Wings and won, but that's not important right now. Eligible since 05. That's an 18-year wait, okay? I think and then I was starting to read about the process. Well, how do you get into the Hall of Fame? You have to be elected by 75% of the 18 members who vote. And here again is Wyshynski's story. The selection committee consists of 18 individuals appointed by the board of directors of the Hall of Fame. Among the current members are former players Mike Gardner, Ron Francis, Cami Granado, Igor Larionov, and then hockey executives such as Brian Burke, Mark Chipman, Dave, I'm going to screw up his name, Polday maybe, and the media members like Bob McKenzie, okay? Well, first of all, I'm thinking, and you have to be nominated by one of those members. You can't just they don't just bring your name in and say, okay, we're voting on Ron Brind'Amour. Like someone on the group has to present, okay? That's number one. Number two, 75% of 18, you're a math guy. What is 75% of 18?
Oh, come on.
It's 13, it's 13 and a half. It's 13 and a half.
Okay.
So are there half people on this membership? Like, first of all, your math is screwed up. That you're basically, so you're saying all but 4 of the people in that room have to say you're a Hall of Famer. And this is where we get into the debate, okay? Because while I think Rod Brind'Amour is a Hall of Famer, and I understand his career, and I have followed his career, and I understand who the person is, and I understand what his value was as a two-way player, the 18 people in that room probably don't. Not all 18 of them.
Why is it 18 people?
Again, this is part of the problem. That's way too many people, I think, in my opinion. And then you have a screwed up formula, 13 and a half. So it's either 13, which would not be 75%, or 14, which again would be more than 75%. So I think the formula is screwed up. But I would say this in defense of those people. Rod Brind'Amour is not a no-brainer Hall of Famer. Okay. So Henrik Lundqvist got in on his first try. And what hockey does is they only have a 3-year waiting period before you're eligible. So Lundqvist, was a no-brain Hall of Famer. So he gets elected on his first try. So I think what's happening is every year there's probably 1 or 2 of those players where there's a no-brainer, and then they get in. And then that pushes other people down the queue. But as you see with Vernon and Barrasso, now Barrasso in particular is a great example because he really is really good friends with Ron Francis. So you can't sit here and tell me that politics isn't part of this process.
Can we get him on the podcast?
Ron Francis.
I want Ron. I want him on here right now. I want Francis. I want to ask him. Let's get into him.
I tried just to get any interview with him last year during the season. Last year or the first year with Seattle, and I was rebuffed. Backstory there is when I covered the Canes when he was playing for the Canes, 01, 02, those years, and I had a good relationship with Ron to the point where I helped him make his NFL picks in their team in the locker room. Like they had a pool each week for the NFL. And I helped him each week.
Joe, are you breaking that they were gambling in the locker room? Isn't that a problem?
Well, I mean, I don't know the amounts, but
we got to scrub that off.
So I had a good relationship, as good as you can have between somebody who covers the team and
did you give
randomly covers the team. I helped him.
Did you give him winners? You gave him winners?
Yes.
Because hang on 1 second.
To the point where Mario Lemieux, the time I met Mario Lemieux, was like, I know you. You're the guy who helps Ronnie with his football picks. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So I bring this up because obviously politics is a part of this. And we'll talk a little bit about this when we talk about Mack Brown. But isn't everything a people business?
Everything.
Right?
Like you're selling or you're buying.
Yeah. So but I don't want to completely chalk up yesterday's vote to that. Even though we have the Barrasso piece of this, I think the bigger piece of this is looking at the weight. And the player that everyone brings up that wants to compare Rod Brind'Amour himself to as the player is Guy Carbonneau. And again, I'll get back to Carbonneau because of this reason. He helped 3 different teams win the cup. Okay, so if you're a marginal Hall of Famer, okay, you're on the margins. You're not a no-brain Wayne Gretzky. You're not a first ballot Hall of Famer. You have to have something else going for you. Rod Brind'Amour did win a Selke Trophy. He did lead a team to a Stanley Cup championship. He did lead 3 different teams to the Stanley Cup finals, or he was part of 3 different teams that made the Stanley Cup finals. Those are all high quality things.
By lead, are you saying bus driver, or are you saying he was on the squad?
He was the bus driver in 06. Okay. In 97 with the Flyers, season to taste, everyone will say, well, John LeClair, well, Eric Lindros. But if you look at the actual playoffs, and that's where I really get irritated about the Brind'Amour conversation. We're waiting for Sebastian Aho. We're waiting for Andrei Svechnikov to assert themselves in the postseason for the Hurricanes. That's what we're waiting for right now. That's what we want to see. Marty Necas. We want to see them have this breakout playoffs. Rod Brind'Amour did that as a 19-year-old with St. Louis. Rod Brind'Amour did that with Philly when he helped them reach the Cup Finals in 97. Rod Brind'Amour did that with the Canes in 02 when he helped them reach the Cup Finals. And then Rod Brind'Amour was the bus driver in 06. And this gets back to a point that drives me crazy. Now, let me finish this point about Carbonneau, though, because this is the player he's most compared to, the two-way player, face-off specialist, penalty killer, you name it. Doesn't have all the goals in the world, wasn't the greatest scorer in the world, but was a guy who helped his team win. Okay. Guy Carbonneau made the Hall of Fame in 2019. He was eligible in 03. So he waited 16 years. Brind'Amour's last year was 10, makes him eligible in 13. It's been 10 years for Roddy. I do think Roddy is going to get in. I think the hot take today is to get all mad, and I've been there before about Rod Brind'Amour not being in the Hall of Fame. All I'm saying to you is be patient. He's going to get in. It just didn't happen this time.
Now, I'm not a patient guy in nature. Waiting for the world to come to me is not the way I approach this stuff. What I'm saying is, what is this process? This is insane.
The process is stupid. And that's fine. And I understand that. And that's where some of my anger comes from. That I feel like even if Ron Francis doesn't have an axe to grind with Rod Brind'Amour, he's obviously not being an advocate enough as somebody who is in that room, as somebody who does know him and who would know his value to a team winning.
I think it's critical that we get Rod into the Hall of Fame. And I think it is in this room right now that we need to do something.
Obviously, I want to buy a billboard in Toronto outside the Hall of Fame that just says, put Rod in, cowards.
Let's do that. Let's go the nice way first. Let's see if we get Francis in. Let's see what he likes. Is he he's
a big wine guy.
Big wine. Oh, great. He's right in my wheelhouse. Let's bring him into Pizza Box. Let's have him make a pizza. We'll open up some Barolo. We'll just have highlights playing on the TV, just of Rod's achievements, just a highlight film. Just let it keep going.
I don't think he needs them, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he knows.
We need to remind him gently.
But again, I want to take the political portion of this out of this today and just say Rod Brind'Amour is going to get into the Hall of Fame. It just didn't happen yesterday. It's been 10 years.
What year is it going in? Come on, let's go right now.
Put it on the tape. If you got Tommy the Bee right now, 17 years, Vernon was 18 years, and Carbonneau was 19 years. So if he's on the Carbonneau Express, he's got 9 more years.
We got 9 more shows we can do in our career.
He's got till 32.
Oh, God.
2032.
I don't know if I'll live that long. I can't wait that long. He's a Hall of Famer. Put him in.
I don't know if I will either. But again, I will just say to you, Hurricanes fans, and Rod Brind'Amour has been spectacular to us. Cannot lie. Obviously, we have a personal bias here in Raleigh. But I would just say to you, he will be in the Hall of Fame. We just have to show a little bit of patience.
I don't want to show patience. Get him in the Hall of Fame. Let's get it done.
Housekeeping.
The voters for the Hockey Hall of Fame are being pests when it comes to Rod Brind'Amour's enshrinement. I know who can help Rod get into the Hall of Fame and get rid of those pests. Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. Hayes Lancaster and his crew can help you out no matter what you got. Ants, termites, mice, moisture, you name it. Find them at bugsbite.com, or you can call them at 919-807-1951. They're also on the Twitters at NoMosquitoNC. If you're in Wilmington, did you know that you don't have to leave the beach to run a great business? Check out the Network for Entrepreneurs in Wilmington. They're at newilm.com. Jim Roberts' independent nonprofit support organization helps entrepreneurs with sales marketing, mentor options, and investor pitch training. New was named the #1 startup ecosystem in the country for cities with fewer than 300,000 people. The Network for Entrepreneurs in Wilmington, where the river of innovation meets an ocean of possibilities.
Move on.
All right, the NBA draft is tonight. As we all know, Victor Wembanyama is going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Enlightened Victor.
Totally enlightened. In this universe, he is free. So at number 2, though, there is some intrigue as to what the Charlotte Hornets are actually going to do. You have this transition at the ownership level, but it's been reported that Michael Jordan, the current owner, or as he gets ready to sell the team and cash out. I don't know if you saw the thread on Twitter yesterday. He basically had an initial $20 million investment that he's now going to make more money off of this deal in whatever his ownership span was than the entirety of his Nike deal.
It's insane.
That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers. So yeah, the next time you're like, oh, Michael Jordan was a terrible owner. Maybe, but he knew how to turn a dollar. I will absolutely tell you that. But they have the second pick in the draft. And the question is, well, what are they going to do with the second pick in the draft? And at first, everyone was like, well, it's going to be Scoot Henderson. And I get it. Big wing, athletic, can go. The one showcase we saw where he was playing against Wembanyama's team in Las Vegas, he showed out. I was totally impressed. The reports are of late, though. Then the reporting was, okay, it's going to be Brandon Miller, who was the most talented player in college basketball last year. Problematic legal issues. He was at least tangentially involved of a murder that was committed by his teammate. Okay, I know, I get it. We went over that a little bit yesterday. I'm not trying to yada yada that part, but I'm trying to get to this part now where Brandon Miller was interviewed in New York ahead of the draft. This is on Sirius XM. I'm going to give this to you, and I have some notes jotted down about what he said. But my central question to you, I'll ask you before the clip is played. Is this more likely? Are you more likely to draft Brandon Miller after this, or after seeing this, are you like, there is no way on God's green earth I am ever going to draft this guy? So let me see if I can get this to work, because here on this program, when we don't have Joe Ovius, it's a little bit of a struggle bus for me. So let's go share. All right, let's see what we got here.
Definitely, I definitely take pride on the defensive side. I think that could play a big part in just winning ball games in Charlotte. And I can say working out in front of Michael Jordan, I think all people would think I would be pressured because, of course, he's Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan was never the guy I grew up watching. Kind of grew up watching Paul George. So I think
Okay, pause. Michael Jordan was never the guy I grew up watching Paul George. Brandon Miller was born in 2002. That's fair. Why he's choosing Paul George, I don't know. But, okay, that was my first red flag. But let's let him continue.
Michael Jordan was just a regular guy to me in the gym watching me work out. So it was definitely cool meeting him. He definitely sounds like how he sounds on TV.
I got to pause again. Michael Jordan was just a regular guy in the gym watching me work out.
Come on. Stop lying. Stop lying. He's got like a little smirk on his face too. No. If you've not seen the video, it's kind of he's a regular dude
just watching me work out.
And I'll bet anybody any amount of money if we pan down to we see shoes. The sweatshirt. If we pan down to the sneakers, they're either Jordan or Nike, probably because of that regular guy watching
the regular guy
in a gym.
All right, let's continue.
Always trash talking. So I just really had a fun time with him.
But you also mentioned within that he's just like he is on TV. He's talking trash. So what did he say to you?
He told me I was just a shooter, just shooting threes. So it's nothing with him. I know my talents and my abilities. Can't really let Jordan get in your head. It might make him feel good and make you feel bad. So kind of talk some trash back to him. I witnessed him airball the free throw too. So
wait, so Jordan airballed the free throw?
I always have that up against him.
How did was he having a free throw? How did that happen? Was he having a contest with you?
It's him just being old.
Listen, LeVar Ball, calm down.
You better hope he sells the team, or you might be on the bench there.
Lace him up. Lace him up. I definitely think I fit in great due to the fact that.
Okay. So, what do you think? He calls him old, which is trash talk, which I like. I think he might like.
Yeah.
And then he's like, lace him up. Let's go. I think he might like that too.
Okay.
But just a regular guy is the one that I'm still going back to.
But come on. Now, Joe, is he trying to talk like he's trying to act like because Jordan airballed a shot when they were just throwing a ball around and practicing a little bit? Like, what does that mean? That Paul George is really his GOAT? Like, that's his other main comment here is Paul George is his greatest of all time. What's happening? This team is going, you're going to draft this guy. Like, let's go forward and draft this guy. Look at the roster. You're going to have LaMelo, which is attached to LeVar Ball, in the same locker room as this guy. And then we're going to probably bring Bridges back after his year suspension.
I don't know what they're going to do with
What
Bridges.
is this room? How do you control this? These kids listen, I have become the old man on back in my day,
right,
when Michael Jordan ran the basketball courts. Listen,
I mean, we
Michael's Michael.
I know,
down.
but we can't fault him for being born after Jordan was playing.
That's fine.
Now, did he watch the documentary? Obviously not.
No, he did.
And wasn't that the whole point of the documentary?
But
wasn't that the whole point?
I
As a Carolina guy, wasn't that the whole point of the documentary?
The point of the doc was to shade Scottie Pippen.
No, sir. The point of the documentary, and they started filming it after LeBron went back to Cleveland and won the title with the Cavaliers. Because at that point, there was some sentiment that LeBron was going to surpass Jordan. Don't ever underestimate Jordan's ego, ever. We certainly don't underestimate his competitive streak. He is by all accounts, is the most competitive person ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about it. The documentary, the footage was filmed in 98.
Okay.
It was just sitting somewhere until LeBron wins the title with the Cavaliers. And people were like, wait a second, that might be equal to at least 2 of Jordan's titles.
Listen, there's no doubt. Listen, I could see Jordan trying to lace it up and get out there on the court and try to play with these guys. How old is he now? 50?
No, he's older. I'm almost 50.
Oh, all right. Well, whatever. You're 50 years young. He's 50 years old.
No.
Hey, listen, those $2 billion he just made off of selling the team.
60.
No, he's not 60. Come on, he's not.
I think he is.
All right. Well, however old he is, I can still see him going out there being like, young fella, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna put you to work. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think in his head he thinks he can beat anybody in a one-on-one game.
Would you draft Brandon Miller if you were Michael Jordan? He was talking shit about you. Would you? He called you old, and he basically said, "I don't know who you are. I know who Paul George is." Would you draft him?
I'm drafting the best player available. I'm drafting the best fit available. His take is so bad. I'm not drafting him though, because you automatically, you're not the best player available. This is a terrible take. Give me Scoot Anderson. I can't do this.
Shoot. I want guys who could shoot.
Absolutely.
But this take is terrible.
This take is so bad.
Now you combine it with the personality flaws.
Absolutely. This is absolutely indicative of decision-making issues. You're in the final interview. You're in a final interview of a job that is a dream job. This is it. You have 1 day left. You get asked a layup question from the media, and you are smirking and happy to be saying the owner of your team airballed a free throw. If Mark Cuban airballed a shot, I'm never telling anybody if I'm there. Mark, draft me, baby. Let me go play with Luka and let's move on. I don't care. If they ask, did you play a one-on-one Mark Cuban? Yeah, he's great. He kicked my butt. Yeah, he was amazing. You got to see his jumper. Whatever. Or who, like J. Cole might be coming into ownership of the Hornets team now, right? J. Cole might be a part of it.
A hooper,
a local, a great supporter of Raleigh, friend of the program. But if they ask, do you like J. Cole? Yeah, J. Cole's amazing. Whether I like him or not, he owns the team. Just what are you doing? You're not going to be better than Jordan. Nobody's ever going to say, you know who the best 3 of all time are? Michael Jordan, LeBron, and Brandon Miller. It's never going to happen. It ain't coming. Just calm down. Chill out.
So the other reporting this week, and that's picked up steam lately, is that the Hornets are trying to move that pick. If you were the Hornets, I don't think it's a one. Now it does seem like there is a bona fide superstar in Wembanyama. We both have concerns about his frame and his ability, how many years he'll have. Yao Ming only played 8. Okay. So Chet Holmgren has already missed 1 year. Embiid missed his first 2 years. These are all guys we could compare him to. In a draft like that, would you trade the second pick if you could get 2 starters for it? If you could get 2 assets?
No, you got to gamble. I think you got to gamble on Scoot, in my opinion. I want Scoot. I understand Brandon Miller. I think he's going to be solid, but you got to take one of those 2 guys. Okay. I don't think you're trading for him because you're not going to.
The last time they picked second in a draft like this, where Anthony Davis was the number 1 pick, they took Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Listen, this is reminiscent of when the Knicks had the 3rd pick, when it's Ja and it's Zion, and they're left with RJ Barrett. The fall off in an NBA draft is astronomical, but you got to shoot a shot, and maybe one of these guys, maybe this is how he gets fired up to go to the gym and shoot 1,000 shots a day so he can beat, the invisible Jordan. Great player, but he's got to be who you take. Or one of these 2 guys you got to gamble on.
We're moving on.
You know about the Breeze Through at the arena and their ice cold local craft beer selection. They got crowlers and growlers, and they got coffee so good. You know I love the coffee, but there's more to the Breeze Through. They got 17 locations in North Carolina. You're never too far away from Breeze Through, fueling your next commute, road trip, tailgate, or adventure. Hey, they're on Pool Road in Raleigh. If you're going over to Walnut Creek for a couple shows, check them out. They're also in Cary, Apex, Smithfield, Garner, also Pittsboro, Hillsboro. Like I'm telling you, you name it. Going out to the mountains, Lenore, or Blowing Rock, the Breeze Through crew has you covered no matter where your summer plans take you. Maybe I don't understand how Hall of Fame voting works, but I do know this. The Butcher's Market has the best meat selection in the Triangle. It's not even close. Check them out at thebutchersmarkets.com. They got great steaks, marinated chickens. They make their own hot dogs, sausage, bacon, you name it. Sign up for the Steak of the Month membership and get a fresh, never frozen hand-cut steak each month from July through December. First one of July, which will be here just in time for your cookouts, 24-ounce T-bone. They got locations in Raleigh, Cary, Holly Springs. Go check them out at thebutchersmarkets.com. Man, I love the NBA draft, and I cannot wait for those rookie cards to come out. Those Wembanyama cards are going to be like lottery tickets when they're here. Weston at Oak City Sports Cards is going to have them. Go check them out at oakcitycards.com or go downtown Raleigh. Go to the shop. I appreciate everyone who has gone there. And they've mentioned this ad from the podcast. One of our listeners, Jeffrey, actually DM'd me and said, hey, went to Oak City. I got some autographed cards graded. That's a smart move because to get the best value for your cards, you have to get them graded. And Weston is the man to trust. And to help you, I got a fair deal from Weston. I promise he'll do the same for you. Check him out at oakcitycards.com or go visit him downtown Raleigh off of Glenwood Avenue. All right, there was one story that we missed from last week that I wanted to get to because there's soccer fans out there. Now, I'm not a soccer expert. I enjoy soccer, but I'm not a soccer expert. My next guest on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, though, Cal Toscano. Cal, explain this to me like I'm 5, as Joe Avias likes to say. Greg Berhalter was the head coach of USA.
Yes.
He was in the World Cup. They reached the round of 16. You get to the knockout round, that's pretty good, especially for the U.S. in their history. And then he was sort of fired, but now he's the coach again. Again, I don't understand the sequence of events. There was an investigation. There was an allegation. There was a complicated relationship with Claudio Reyna and his son, Gio. So, all right. The bottom line, though, is the guy who was the head coach of U.S. Soccer is now again the head coach of U.S. Soccer. Am I getting this right?
Yes, but I think it's valid to start with kind of the allegation, the investigations there, because Greg Berhalter is a capable coach. He's a capable manager. He's managed in Europe, managed very successfully in MLS for the Columbus Crew. So we can kind of get to the debate about managers later. But for, like you brought up the investigation with Gio Reyna in particular. For those of you who might not know, Gio Reyna is a pretty young, very capable midfielder who plays for Dortmund in the Bundesliga, which is the German league. Definitely a piece of young U.S. players, coming to the forefront in European clubs. So, very important part of the side. And Berhalter Berhalter and him were getting in altercations, verbal altercations during the World Cup, as you mentioned, Joe. And so, that kind of, made things a little iffy in terms of the relationship between the players during the World Cup. So, that was complicated, and he was briefly investigated for, domestic abuse, which ended up being kind of a smokescreen, but, definitely a little bit of a controversial manager for sure.
All right. So this is a team that struggled to score goals. Gio Reyna is the guy who can help your team score goals and generate offense, but he didn't play in part because Greg Berhalter basically said he wasn't in good shape, right? Or he just didn't come out and say that. I think it's part of the problem.
The issue was more, at least from what reporting indicated, that he was concerned about Gio's attitude and his work ethic, as opposed to whether or not he was in shape, especially because the World Cup for the first time ever happened during the middle of the European season. So his form was fine. He just wasn't getting the touches and the minutes that he wanted. And so, he pushed back on that a little bit, and Berhalter was not happy with that as far as what we know. So, but clearly the U.S. Soccer Confederation wasn't concerned about that enough not to renew his contract at the beginning of this month. So, that's an indication that probably wasn't as big of a deal as some folks might have made it, but he's still controversial.
But that's his relationship with Reyna. The relationship with Pucelik is the reason that he's probably still the head coach, right?
I would say probably, yeah.
Okay.
Christian Pulisic, loves Greg Berhalter. He's been on the national team almost the entire time that Berhalter has been the manager. And so, that relationship is huge. And Pulisic's he's not the captain, but in the eyes of, I think maybe even Berhalter and, the American fans, he is kind of the captain, even though Tyler Adams gets more, caps as the actual captain. So, the role that Christian plays on the team is so important. And the fact that they have that great relationship, I think, is a huge reason why Berhalter came back. So
I'm a soccer novice, Cal, and Cal Toscano. I'm going to start calling this calculus with Cal, because I feel like you're a numbers guy after my own heart. I love numbers. Calculus with Cal. I'm a soccer novice. So we just had the World Cup in 22. It's 23. All right. So what's next? Because now Berhalter's going to be the coach. They have to qualify, all those good things. But what's next? And when do I need to get locked in again for 26? When do I need to start paying attention again and be ready to be disappointed again by U.S. soccer?
The best thing about soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, is it doesn't ever end. And so the amount that you want to be interested in it is totally up to you. And the cycle just keeps going. So for example, the U.S. just got done with what's called Nations League, and it's not quite a
they
cup
hammered
competition.
Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. So, all the North American nations and Central American nations are included in that, kind of compete within a federation called CONCACAF. And the U.S. just steamrolled the competition this year, especially the highlights against Mexico went viral because we played very, very well.
But Berhalter wasn't the coach for that game, right?
He was not.
Okay.
No, and it's a little interesting
Be the coach.
He's just tough against it. The thing with Berhalter, the fundamental question is, can he hold up against top 16 competition? Because right now the U.S. is ranked 13th by FIFA over out of every single country in the world, the U.S. is 13th. So, when we go into the round of 16 and lose 3-1 to the Netherlands in a game that that goal was miraculous. We lost bad. So can he hold up, right? That's the question. And we're actually ranked higher than Mexico right now. So, even though there are rivals, it's not really a test. You know what I mean?
Bottom line, they did the right thing bringing Greg Berhalter back, yes or no?
Yes, purely because the fact that we qualified for the World Cup in 2022 was big, because we didn't qualify in 2018. And it was a whole thing. It was 32 years or something like that where we had qualified beforehand. So the fact that we qualified was big. The fact that the players like him is big. And, it was either him or Jesse Marsh, who was the coach at, in the Premier League for Leeds United, who is kind of more of a celebrity American manager, especially because he's popular in England. But I think bringing back an American who knows the team, who's a good locker room guy, regardless of this, thing with Gio Reyna, who is liked by the players and who has the tactical capability to at least draw with England, right? Or beat Mexico, or, do decent against top 16 teams. I think as the side continues to age, as our players continue to age, because we were the second youngest squad at the World Cup, I think Berhalter could be a good option. But, time will tell. We need to see. We can't just treat it like he's a permanent solution, I wouldn't say. But for the next 3 to 4 years into 2026, I think he'll work. Yeah.
All right, Cal. Next week, we're going to do this again. I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to do some research on number 1 overall draft picks at quarterback, and I want you to do an assignment on quarterbacks who are 6 feet and under. How's that sound? You can do that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds fun.
All right, let's do it again next Thursday. Calculus with Cal on the Heister Automotive Group Hotline. Appreciate your time, Cal.
Thanks, Joe.
Move on.
Whether the Hornets take Brandon Miller or not, I know he's going to cash in at the NBA draft tonight. And I know who can help him find a home after he signs for millions. Hometown Realty. Check them out at myhtr.com. And for all of your real estate needs, residential, commercial, or even rental, Barry Woodard's team has more than 250 agents over 6 locations. They're in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Selma, and Atlantic Beach. Hey, if you're buying a house, if you're selling a house, go check them out. It's myhtr.com, or you can always call them. It's 919-550-7355. And of course, once you buy that house, you're going to need a lawyer to close. And that's where Whitaker and Hamer come into play. Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer, they have more than 20 years experience, and they can help you close on a house. They can help you start a business. They can help you sell a business. Anything that's family law related, Whitaker and Hamer are there for you. Check them out in Raleigh, Clayton, Fuquay, Morehead City, and of course, all of the G's, Goldsboro, Gastonia, and Garner. They have the coolest URL you're ever going to find. It's wh.lawyer. I know, crazy, right? wh.lawyer. You can also try calling them. You do this the old-fashioned way. 919-772-7000.
Topic, please.
All right, Mack Brown had a summer press conference recently and didn't have time to get over there. But here's my question for you when it comes to Mack. And I'll play the clip for you but I want to preface all off-season Mack stuff with Mack is the absolute master in the offseason. He is the best there ever was to do it. You could talk about Bear Bryant being the best coach of all time. You could talk about Nick Saban being the best coach of all time. We could sit here and argue about all those things we cannot argue about. Mack Brown is the best college football coach ever in the offseason. Ever.
I'd vote for him for political office.
Master politician. He is a master communicator. He is unbelievable with people. Let me ask you a question before I play this Mack clip. If you did all of the things that you do at Oakwood Pizza, all the same, all the ingredients, same sauce, same crust, same cheese, same beer selection, same wine selection, all of those things the same, but people come in and you're a dick to them, you think they're coming back?
No, it's not say the experience and how you feel is really what a restaurant is.
So your communication skills and your ability to communicate and relate to people matters, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm good at it, but Roger's really good at it.
Okay, but
yes, no, yeah.
Well, you are good at it. There's a reason now. But what I'm getting at is, as a restaurant owner, that's a positive. The people who want to criticize Mack Brown for being a great communicator in the offseason, I don't understand. Why is this a knock? When people are like, oh, you fell for it again. And Ovius loves to give me this one all the time. I can't believe, because the Sam Howells last year where they were preseason top 10, I'm like, they're going to win the ACC. I think they're going to be really good. And it turns out they weren't. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know if I was buying what Mack was selling. It was part of it. But I was also just looking at their schedule, and I was looking at the quarterback that they had. And I should have paid more attention to their offensive line. I didn't. But the truth of the matter is, Mack is superb at selling his team. I don't understand why that is seen as a negative.
It's not a negative. He's selling to recruits. He's selling to coaches. He's selling to fan base. He's selling to all of that stuff.
Which matters at Carolina.
Absolutely.
Because
they want that more than anything.
What years were you at Carolina?
Oh, I caught the last year of bunting.
Okay.
Oh God!
In the South Florida game earlier in that year, South Florida at the time was a top 20 program.
Yep.
And I remember the place being empty. And I remember that being the day where Dick Bedore was like, "We can't do this anymore."
No, it was the fan base was despondent. It was just
for one of their own.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously they weren't gangbusters.
No.
But they had moderate success. They had some memorable players.
Yeah, the bunting year's not so good. Not so good.
But it was in line with NC State. It was in line with basically their football history.
Twitter got after me about my mentioning of a certain football coach that comes after.
It's fine. Just say
I don't understand.
You don't have any. Do you not know of any of our history?
I don't know your history with him. I don't. Okay. Pardon my ignorance.
That's fine.
All I'm saying is that guy changed the campus, looked at football differently. There was different energy. Different players came on. Different caliber of assistant coaches came in. The program changed.
All right. So this was the clip from Mack that I wanted to get to because I saw this, or I saw the quotes. Shouts to Rod Baxley at the Fayetteville Observer. I saw the quotes, and I'm like, why does he keep saying quitting? And I think it's part of the way that he turns information around on his competition, because he's 71 years old. He wouldn't quit. He would retire, right? But the way that he keeps saying quitting, in my mind, I was like, he's trying to make a point here. So let's go to this. This is actually from the TBD clip, had Mack talking about what's going on in the offseason with
compliment I could ever have.
Let's go to the beginning. Sorry. Screw that one up. We'll be okay.
And just about every recruit that comes in asks me if I'm going to quit, because they said all the coaches recruiting against us say you're quitting. And I said, well, I haven't talked to any of them. And there were a number of them last year that said I was quitting that got fired. So they probably ought to worry more about their jobs than mine. And then I thought it's probably the best compliment I could ever have that they want me to quit. So I want to thank them. So I'm publicly thanking all of you all who are saying I'm going to quit, because it's a great compliment. I'm in better shape than I've been in 20 years. I'm working harder than I've been in 20 years. I'm really excited about where this program is and where it can go.
All right, so that's Mack.
Just about every recruit
talking about the anti-recruiting against him, right? And quitting. I don't understand this word quitting.
Do you quit?
Why would he quit? And I'm not mocking him. I think he's saying it to make a point. Like, I am not a quitter, right? Like Steve Spurrier quit on South Carolina, by the way, at a very similar age. All right. That's quitting.
But at a certain point, you're like, what am I doing? For Spurrier, what am I doing? I am a legendary coach. I got the visor. I'm going to take this visor to a golf course.
Finish the season out. But here's Mack, 71 years old. You would be retiring. That's all. Like, I get there's a reality to other teams, and probably NC State, probably Duke, probably Virginia Tech, without saying it, South Carolina, all of the schools that would recruit against him are probably saying, like, you're 71. If you're an 18-year-old kid, what are the chances that Mack is there by the end of your career? That's a real thing. It's been going on forever. Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, you name it, all these coaches. Nick Saban,
yes,
is 70, I believe, at this point as well.
He looks great for 70.
It's the hair. It's the little Debbies, you know. And shouts to Mack, though. He said he lost 30 pounds. He does look good. It's not easy to lose 30 pounds at 71 years old, dude. Because it's not like you're doing burpees and up downs. I mean, you gotta make some changes there. So I think he looks good. I'm happy for him. Again, I like Mack Brown. I don't know why people use his ability to communicate and his people skills as some sort of negative. It's not. But that's not my question for you today as a Carolina grad. Mack Brown, 71 years old. Mack Brown 2.0 is now 4 years. He's 30-22 overall, 20-14 in the ACC, 9-3 against the Big Four.
That's solid.
9-3 against Duke, State, and Wake Forest. Has a Orange Bowl asterisk from 20 and a division title last year. Finished in the top 25 once in the 20 year. They finished 18, which was the pandemic year. The recruiting classes, which everyone, when they hire, slight backstory. Mack Brown's agent was the same agent for Dave Doran, Jordan Bazant, and ended up, Jordan now works for Fox. Okay. But at the time when Larry Fedora was in his last year, I talked to Jordan early after they got smoked by ECU. And he called me. He goes, what do you think about Mack coming back? I go, First thing I said to him, first thing out of my mouth. I said, why would you want to do that to Dave? He goes, oh, Dave will be fine. I go, you know what Mack's going to do when he gets there. He's going to be great with the media, and he's going to be great with recruits. Sure enough, here's his recruiting classes. We'll start in 20, 14, 21, 14 in the country, 22, 11 in the country, and then this year's group was 30th. I mean, you can't ask for much more out of his return than that. How do you assess Mack 2.0?
Now, listen, I'm thankful that Mack doesn't run around shirtless like the previous UNC coach.
Well, he could. Elfed
now
could.
He could down 30 pounds, down 30 pounds. Shred. No, listen. To be honest, it's UNC football. I think I look at football the same way everybody at Carolina does. Give me some good players. Let's have some moments, but like keep the program clean, get some talent on campus, and once every few years, let's try to strike at the top.
7-6, 8-4, 6-7, 9-5. That's 4 years with an NFL quarterback. Now, if I was talking about NC State right now, I wouldn't be happy overall with those numbers. Now, here comes the Carolina side would be, yeah, but what were they before he got there? And that's fair. But at some point, you can't just be like, well, we're better than a crappy 2-9 or 3-9 team. At some point, you have to get over that.
Yeah, but the NC State approach here is like, all right, let's fire him and bring in who? Right?
Oh, man, don't start with that because I hate it when people... And this has nothing to do with the current situation. I just hate it when people are like, well, who are you going to get? Okay, well, your job is to make pizza, right?
Yes.
And you are outstanding at figuring out what sauce to get. I don't know what tomatoes to use, but you do. You know why? Because it's your effing job. If it was my job to hire a football coach, do you know what I would know? I would know who to hire.
Yeah, but
so don't give me, oh, but who are you going to go get? Because that's such a defeatist attitude. That is such a defeatist attitude. Just accept who you are and take this crap sandwich and eat it. No, don't say that shit. That does not fly.
No, my point is not that. You have to compete with SEC money in order to go
there's
get
a whole new reality now. Yeah.
This is it, so it's just that's the pros, and then ACC is in the next league down or possibly 2 leagues down from that. It's just a different quantity of money. If you're going to say, okay, we're not winning it, we're not nationally ranked, we're not top 10, the money that Michigan spends and makes off of football is just different than the money that we're going to have at Carolina. Now, I would go get somebody like Deion Sanders, who is an absolute promoter and absolutely builds a brand.
The next generation of Mack, maybe.
Yes. I would have Deion. Me personally, I had this discussion. This came up. If I was at some State fans got really mad at me because they were talking about it at the bar. I was like, I would go get, when Deion was looking to leave, I'd go get a guy like Deion and bring him to State. Bring a circus. Bring your guys. Bring your Louis. Pack your bags. I'm ready. I'm coming. Let's go. Make money. Fill the stadium up. Spring games. Let's go. Because that's the best possible outcome. And potentially you can get enough recruits if you drum it up enough that you can strike a couple of years and try to get into the top 15, top 10, possibly win the ACC. But it's just a huge chasm to get across. And it's not just a coach. Bill Belichick, you getting Bill Belichick? Who we get? Like what's going to happen? Because it's a coach, and then it's an absolute ton of money.
I think all of the teams in the state are in the same boat for a reason. There aren't enough good players in this state for all these teams to be at a level. Now you add Clemson and Georgia and Alabama and whoever else come in and get the top players in the state when they want them. Yeah, now to your point, maybe it would be Ohio State and Michigan who are going to come in here because of the money that they have, because now NIL isn't real. I mean, it was real before. Paying recruits was real before, but it's even more pronounced now.
Oh, you have you're a great wide receiver. Here
we just saw this, Noah Rogers.
Come on. Where are you going?
He's going to Ohio State.
Oh, absolutely.
State recruited him like out of the womb, and they couldn't get him.
I was going to say, it's easy. I'm going to go win that same room, that Ohio State wide receiver room. I don't know
they just put 3 guys in the first round.
And the best one on the team isn't even eligible for the draft until next year.
Right.
I would donate draft picks now.
4 in the last 2 years. The 4 first-round picks in the last 2 years.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is take whatever you want. I'll take him now. I'll sign him right now. Whatever. That guy's And that's the best guy in the room. And everyone else. And Gary Wilson for the Jets is phenomenal. But if you're a big-time player, you're going to a big-time school.
Max 71. His contract runs through 27. You think he gets to the end of his contract? It's 23 right now.
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
Why is that a bad, like,
it's not bad.
That's not a bad thing, though.
No.
Max, the ultimate CEO.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that he's in a position this time around. You know, last time when he left, he got him to the top 10, and Texas came calling, and he couldn't turn it down. Couldn't.
No, because that's the big time money.
Yes.
That's the big
and it was a chance for him to win the national championship, which Absolutely. He did, by the way.
No.
So this time around, he's in a position where he could set Carolina football up, even if he doesn't coach through 27. This is almost like Krzyzewski, right? As much as Carolina fans hated the Krzyzewski model.
Oh, come on. I don't know about that. Yeah, we're going too far. Bridge too far.
Why? I'm just saying in the sense that Krzyzewski
Can't we
was
call
able
it the
to
Roy
set up
Williams
a
model? I mean, we had a succession plan at Carolina. I mean, we had a bunch of Carolina guys on the bench. We guys take the job. Like, come on. It's more Roy than Coach K's model. I don't know about that. Come on now.
Which one? Well, while we're there, we might as well. Which one do you think is ultimately going to be more successful?
Shire's going to be more successful. I like what Shire's doing.
Do you think it's in part because of the way that Krzyzewski set up the plan, or do you think it's because of who Shire is?
It's Shire the guy.
Okay.
Shire the guy would give up. And not that Hubert is not. I love Hubert. I met him a few times. He's a great guy. I actually spoke to his wife for a while. It was funny. The first time I ever went to campus, I spoke to his wife unknowingly. It's like, oh my God, Hubert Davis is right there and no one knows it. She's like, oh, you should talk to him. He's really nice. And I was like, I'm not talking to Hubert Davis. I'm a New York kid coming down, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like a New York Knicks legend here. This is cool as hell. Like, we're just in a store. Anyway, great guy. I love him. Shire's built for this. This is what Shire's going to lay it all out.
He's younger too.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great hire.
What's up next? What's up next?
And Anthony, you're from New York. You're obviously a Yankee fan. I'm from New Jersey. I am also a Yankee fan. The Yankees, I took a Yankees ticket at the beginning of the year. You're never going to get a good price on a Yankees ticket, of course, because they're the Yankees. But when they got Carlos Rodon from NC State, I was like, oh, it's going to be it. This is it. They fixed their pitching. They're going to win this thing after being close last year. They're 41-33. They are 9.5 games behind, of all teams, the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, if the playoffs were to start today, they would be in the wild card round, so they would be in the playoffs. But I think it's fair to say that they haven't exactly been running on all cylinders this season. We've talked about Steinbrenner mojo and Big George, and we talk about owners and the pantheon of owners. George Steinbrenner is going to be way up there, even with some of his impetuous flaws, right? Because he was the ultimate, if I want it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to spend it, I'm going to make money, and I'm going to make sure that we win. Those championships didn't come for free, okay? His son, Hal, is now in charge of the Yankees. And I'm slightly confused by his inability to understand how the world works. So the Yankees, I mentioned they would be in the playoffs right now, but they're 41-33. They're basically have been lapped by the Rays. And when you think about the Yankees recently too, who's the team that's been in their way? Not the Red Sox, but the Astros. And the Astros are struggling this year. So it almost feels like, and the Red Sox stink too. So it's like, you know, wait, what is going on? Like, this is a chance, right? I talk often about windows in other sports with the Canes in particular. Your window's open. The Yankees window is always open. I think we understand that. But this season has been a struggle. And obviously Yankee fans, breaking news, not the most patient in the history of the world, are not exactly happy. So I just want to see how out of touch you think Hal Steinbrenner is. I'm going to play this clip. He was on with the Yes Network. So let's see what he said.
I don't know how much you monitor what's said on radio shows or on social media, but for some reason, I mean, your fan base, at least the vocal ones, Hal, very, very upset. They're just upset. I mean, have you heard that noise? Do you try to block it out? Does it affect you?
Yeah, I don't look. I want to know. You know, I talk to Jason Zillow a lot, and I talk to different people. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to radio shows. I don't read the papers much. I just don't. But I want to know what the vibe is out there, and I understand they're upset. I'm a little confused this year, being third week in June, why they're so upset. But they're upset, and that's going to get my attention, of course. And everybody just needs to know that we're working hard on all fronts to get this back on the rails and start playing the way we were for a couple week period there in May. But health has got to be a part of it. We got to get Aaron back. Rodon had a rehab outing. He felt great afterwards. 42 pitches, I believe. We got to get him into the mix. We got to get healthier. We got to get guys off the IL and put some guys to the IL. That's one factor that needs to happen.
All right.
I could hear Ovius right now. He's on vacation. Just relax. It's June 22nd.
That's obvious. That's not the owner of the Yankees. How about Michael K being like, well, some of your fans, I don't get it. Like, they're upset.
Some of your fans, that's a call-in show. They call it freak out. I'm freaking out. Mario Mendoza, the creator, the inspiration of the Mendoza line, right? For those who don't know, the Mendoza line is the 200 batting average. The idea was he was such a bad hitter, he had to just try to get above 200. Great glove. Otherwise, they can't get him on the... Mendoza might bat third right now for the Yankees. This is disturbing. Gleyber Torres, 253. Rizzo, 266. Anthony Volpe hitting a fat 194. Come on.
Jersey
Josh
kid,
Donaldson, 133. John Carlos Stanton, 196. Why are we mad? Joe, they banned the shift. Do we not have any approach to hitting? You can't ban the shift, right? And then do nothing to the batting average, right? Guys, you can't move around the field anymore. You can't have 4 outfielders on us. Okay, great. Can you hit somewhere? They can't even do it. We've not seen any, nobody's hitting the baseball. It's disturbing. This is terrible to watch. Do you want to go pay $500 a ticket? You got to watch Isaiah Kiner-Falefa play center field and hit 232. What is the payroll? I don't know why they're upset at us. Well, Hal, let me tell you why. Watch the effing games. I know you don't read the papers. I get it.
That's a lie.
I don't read the papers. Michael, I call into your show. I don't know. They're upset. We're behind the Orioles. We're behind the Rays. The team is playing horrifically. I got to watch Boone haphazardly get thrown out of every game. Get thrown out like Lou Piniella. Okay? When Lou Piniella got thrown out of a game, I said, you know what? That's how you go out. Throw the base. Throw something. Get into a fight. Do something real. He gets tossed out of the game, and it's always like, oh, cool. I get to go to Peter Luger's early tonight. Phenomenal. I'm going to beat the crowd out of the stadium. This is great. Come on.
I don't know what's more infuriating, because I would expect from Hal from the ivory tower to be like, I don't understand why our fans are upset, as if you haven't been paying attention to Yankee baseball or the Yankee culture or your own father. For your entire life. Aaron Boone would have been fired at least 4 times by now.
He's got
definitely at the end of last year. That would have fired his ass so quickly.
You have to go. He's got to go. You got to change it. You got to go.
But no, okay, cool. Because Brian Cashman really runs the team, and I understand that. The other part of this, though, was Michael K being like, well, some of your, as if you're not on a daily talk show in New York freaking City. Like, some of your fans are upset. I don't really get it. Well, then why are you on radio? If you don't get it, you shouldn't be on radio, period.
Come on, Michael knows. He's just, that's just kissing the ring there. He knows who signs his check.
Which is lousy, in my opinion.
God,
it's okay to be nice. It's okay to be nice to the people who you have on your program. I get that. I've done some of that before, but not as egregious as he just did with, some of your fans, as if, they're like Nebraska football and they're just chilling in Lincoln and worried about the strength coach. No, you're the Yankees, dude. You're the Yankees. Okay. You're in New York City.
This is awful.
There's 8 bazillion people there. They all want to get tickets and they all have all this money, and you pay all this money and you expect excellence. As Mike Tomlin likes to say, the standard is the standard for a reason.
Except for Hal Steinbrenner. Well, I mean, because listen, he's just trying to clear money and make money off of what his dad did. And that's That's a thing, unfortunately, that exists in this country. The second generation generally, pardon my French, fucks up the business. It almost always happens. Joe, I got tickets in right field. We're the first row. Me, my kids, the wife, we're doing it in Labor Day weekend. It's a Tuesday game. You know what I'm doing on Monday, Labor Day? U.S. Open. You know what I'm doing on Sunday? First base, first row, Citi Field, right there. Me, Pete Alonso, the kids. Kids said, we want to see a baseball game. Dad delivered. My wife's like, oh, playing something for summer. Great. You know what we're doing? Mets on Sunday, U.S. Open on Monday.
Little Flushing Meadows action.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm pumped. Pumped. But I mean, I'm going to be watching them. But I should have bought the tickets later because it's going to be a non-existent game. No one's going to be there. It's a mess. But I'm going to wait and be patient.
Next topic, please.
All right, it's time. This is going to require me, though. We'll just take a little break. Hang on. We got time. I got to see if people gave us questions. Oh, we got some.
All right.
You need a bathroom or you're okay?
I'm good. What happened to the Mendoza? Why did the Mendoza line go away? Why is it acceptable to bat 133?
I don't know. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Let's try one more time.
We're moving on.
All right, here's the portion of the program where you have questions, we have answers. It's a little something like we like to call Hey Joe. And look at that. It's brought to you by Oakwood Pizza Box. Check them out on Person Street right there across from the world famous Krispy Kreme. Oakwood Pizza Box, get your pizzas, get the square pizza. Sorry, don't mean to slander the circle, but get the square.
Order it early
pizza.
if you want it, though. Order it early.
Order on oakwoodpizzabox.com. You can go in, tell Anthony his Yankee takes are crazy. Tell him that his UNC football takes are even crazier. Do what you want to do. Go check them out, though. Get the Narragansett on tap.
It's always there.
Yeah, it's cold. I don't know what you did to get that Narragansett so cold, but it's delicious.
We try to go for the coldest beer in town.
You're getting there. You're getting there. My guy at Shady's, my guy Josh at Shady's has a cooler that the bottles of beer are actually colder than your beers.
Really?
Yes. Not the Narragansett tap. It's different. Okay. I'll take you to Garner.
People open the door too much.
Exactly. People like me go in and help themselves, and they make a mess of your place. You gotta lock it up. All right. So we, as on the podcast version of the show, we only use real questions. So here I am. I'm going to present again. Look at this technology. I'm working so hard for the reader right now. All right, here we go. Hey, ISO, need some questions. We got Chris and Raleigh. Hey, Joe. Anthony, have loved your family's food since the Bella Mia days in Cary. If your traditional pizza was an ACC basketball player, who would it be?
Oh, that's tough. I need a timeout on that. If we were an ACC player, I mean, listen.
Is it the best of all time? Is it consistent? Is there a flash to it? So you have to figure out what your pizza is.
One of my favorite ACC players all time. This is kind of a controversial take. Not
Okay.
Ed Cota.
I was going to say, who my favorite Carolina player of all time is.
Ed Cota was my guy. I grew up watching him throw alley-oops all the time.
So creative.
Yeah. Well,
not the flashiest, not the biggest, not the fastest, but smart.
And win games.
Savvy. Knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Ed Cota is our answer there. Did you know that Ed Cota was my favorite Carolina player of all time?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
For what you just said.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
I can appreciate good basketball players.
I pulled Ed Cota out, and you're like,
no, that is my actual favorite Carolina.
That's weird.
I've been on the record for that one before.
Oh, really?
All right, we got Kelly. Kelly is a big Wake fan with a large Wake fan base. Now, large. Come on, Kelly. With a large Wake fan base in Raleigh, should Wake win the CWS, will you create a special pizza in their honor for a limited time? By the way, huge fan. We order your pizza to go every Thursday night. All right, so if Wake closes this thing out, and we're going to talk to Aaron Roundtree, or I should say, in order of operations here, we already talked to Aaron Roundtree on this program. They lost to LSU, but they'll play them again, beat them. They head on to the final series to face Florida. So if Wake pulls this thing off, will you create a special pizza in the honor of the Demon Deacons?
What would a Wake Forest pizza be?
Expensive.
Oh,
religious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The Deeks, Baptists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Plain.
I mean, Kelly, I'm open. How about this, Kelly? Thank you. A, thank you for coming in. B, we love Winston-Salem. It's my wife's favorite city for some reason. Or she tells me it's always
I've never heard this before.
It is a great.
Wait, where is Brett from?
She lived in Winston-Salem for a little while. She always says that, and we always have an argument about it. I'm like, okay, it's not a great American city. She classifies it as a great American.
The Dash.
It's a really nice place. I like it a lot.
It's on the come up.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, but come on, great American city. I mean, oh wow, New York, Chicago, Miami. Like great American cities. Charleston, Savannah.
Not Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem? No. But we're always a good fan, and I always like the Skip Prosser teams a lot, to be honest. So I'm a big fan. I hope they win. Hit us back. Give me some suggestions here.
All right, she will. All right. So from our guy Jim, it seems there was a missed opportunity to make a bigger deal of having the number one college baseball team come to the Triangle play NC State, Duke, and UNC. I remember hearing on the shows that Wake Forest was number one, but not when they traveled to play in the Triangle. Yeah, listen, college baseball is kind of weird in this area. I always equate this to when the Hurricanes are hot, things that happen in the spring go to the background. So you got to remember when Carolina and Duke when Carolina, look at that slip. When Carolina and State made it to Omaha in 13, the Canes were in the desert. They were in the wilderness. They were just beginning their 10-year stretch of not making the playoffs. But when the Canes get hot, they dominate the media landscape. And when in the last 5 years, I think you've seen college baseball has come here and the Canes have gone here. Like it's a zero-sum game, in my opinion. So the way that we talk about college baseball, just watching a little bit of Wake, they got a lot of characters. They got a lot of fun players. Brock Wilken, I think, is a guy who people could have wrapped their arms around the same way they did Trey Turner, same way they did Carlos Rodon. It just so happened to be at a time when the Canes were running hot. So I think
why
that's
isn't
the issue
baseball
there.
bigger though? Great sport, great college sport too. Great to watch.
Well, college baseball is a little bit like American soccer. It's not the top level, right? If you think about it, the best players every year out of high school, the top 10 or 20% goes to the minor leagues. So college baseball is not analogous to college football or college basketball because the best players in those sports, for the most part, basketball is changing. But for the most part, those best players from high school go to college football, go to college basketball. College baseball, you never really see Mike Trout, for example, who's supposed to go to ECU. Josh Hamilton, who's supposed to go to NC State. You never really see those guys because they go to the pros.
Yeah, but you see Matt Harvey, you see Andrew Miller. We talked about this yesterday.
There's good players.
I mean, there's some great players, and they also go to the pros. Generally speaking, you're going to see them play for your New York Yankees or your Baltimore Orioles or whoever else sooner because they're more mature.
All right, we got Carter. Hey, Joe, any strong feelings on the SEC and ACC versus Big Ten dropping divisions and how each did it? For example, Big Ten emphasizes historic rivalries more. SEC is solely emphasizing competitive balance, while the ACC is sort of between the two. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not seen what the Big Ten did with their model. I have not seen what the SEC has done with their model either. Obviously, I know what the ACC did. They adopted the model that I suggested 8 years ago. Sprained my elbow, pats myself on the back. I think here's the problem. While you're saying the Big Ten emphasizes historic rivalries, that's because the Big Ten has more historic rivalries. You're talking about teams that have been in a conference together for decades. In the ACC right now, like Louisville, Syracuse, Pitt, Miami, Virginia Tech, although less so Virginia Tech, like what real history do they have with, say, Wake Forest? What real history do they have with NC State? So I think you might be slightly overreacting to what the Big Ten is doing. The SEC, right now, they're staying at 8 games, and I think they're going to go to 9. I actually think they'll all go to 10, as we saw during the pandemic, and because that's what those TV sponsors, those TV partners / masters want. So you're going to do what your master tells you to do.
Well, there's got to be a lot more money in that.
correct, and that's why they'll do it. All right. So Alex asks, "Hey Joe, what has been the most surprising challenge of running the new podcast venture?" Well, I do consider myself a little bit of a spreadsheet person, a little bit of a math person. So trying to figure out the books has been interesting. I've had some help along the way. Shouts to my guy Pete, going to help me today a little bit. But not that wouldn't be surprising. That's just more of like, hey, like, can you figure this out on your own? Most surprising might be this technology thing. Like, I was legit mad yesterday.
I was sad.
Yeah, I was. And now I'm sitting here, fingers crossed, even though, because we did however many tests yesterday too.
I hope this sounds great.
I hope so too. So that's been the biggest challenge and shouts to my guy Joe, because he makes this stuff look really easy and it's not.
You like the format better?
Yeah, absolutely. All the people that I talk to are like, this has been like not like, and it makes it sound like we sucked on radio when I don't think we sucked on radio. But you have to do 3 hours every day, and a lot of what you do on radio is, you've been in and you've done the show, and a lot of it's formatted and a lot of it's chopped up, and like this actually allows you to sit here and talk about have a conversation, maybe explore a point, maybe go off on a tangent a little bit. I also think when you get it down to about an hour, which is what this will be, you're a little bit snappier. You're also like doing what you want to do. As I like to tell Joe, we're not doing the same thing. We're doing the best parts of what we want to do. We're just doing them in a more efficient manner without having to do all of the other crap. So that's a good thing. All right, from Matthew, we've got, is the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry dead?
No, I hate them.
That was quick.
They hate us. We hate each other. No, I think.
I mean, it has changed. There's no doubt about that.
Changed, yeah. I wish Don Zimmer was still with us. I wish Pedro was around. I loved watching Manny do Manny stuff, even though I hated them. No, it's not dead. I mean, listen, the Yankees are only a few games up on them. You get a good series together, it'll be a real thing. I think the Yankees have to be good and the Red Sox have to be good. This has been a stretch where they've both been, one's been up and one's been down. They haven't caught two at the top of the division games in a long time. You put those, they're great save because the stadium's great. Go to Fenway and watch a game.
They play too much, don't they?
It hurts.
19 times a year, isn't that too much?
Yeah, it's too much.
I mean,
I think we need
to oversaturate the market a little bit. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah. It's the Mark Cuban NFL scheduling theory. I agree with that. No, absolutely. Oversaturation.
And the games were too long.
That got cleaned up though. These games are fast.
So maybe that's a way to get some of this back a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And they both need to be good. They need to be good. They need to be competitive games. This past weekend, what was the run differential in the series? It was disgusting. Yankees did terrible.
I also don't think you're ever going to get that moment from the early 2000s back, because at that point the Red Sox hadn't won it since 1918, right? They hadn't won it. There was the curse. There was Babe Ruth, this whole thing. There was Aaron Boone's walk-off. There was, the ghosts will come out. The only memorable quote of Jeter's life, just wait for the ghosts to come out, and they did. And then when 04 happened, that changed a lot. And then the Red Sox have won it, 3 total times since?
Yeah.
I think they have 4 total, basically, in our lifetimes.
Yep.
So that changes it. But also, like, that was running, you just mentioned all of the characters from then. Like, it ran hot. Every rivalry is going to have periods where it runs hot. And that doesn't mean you can't get back to that portion. It will run hot again at some point. But I think since then they've played too many times and they haven't had as many meaningful matchups.
Yeah, you need the stars to perform. You need Kurt Schilling in that fake sock.
All right, let's end this with Drunk Guy on Utah Street. Be proud of me and my Baltimore knowledge there. Do you have any explanation for the NC State Notre Dame football game being a noon kickoff? Thanks, one angry Wolfpack fan. Yeah, you got to remember that ESPN and ABC control NC State ACC games. When Notre Dame plays on the road in the ACC, that's an ABC ESPN. ABC views the noon window as their second best window. The 8 p.m. primetime, number one. Their second slot is noon because it's a national broadcast and it's the one that goes out to everybody. So believe it or not, it's not punishment. It's actually a prize.
It's actually punishment. I don't care. The noon game is the worst game. That's a terrible game.
Look at your State fandom. Look at you.
No, that's not right. Listen, NC State, we only have a few things.
I love your pronoun usage now, too.
We only have a few things to be excited about. The Notre Dame game is something to be excited about. It's hard to get psyched for a game when you got to wake up at 9:15, get in the car and run to the stadium.
It's their home
What do you
opener
do? You grill
year.
what?
Yes, I know.
What
Listen,
are you grilling?
I prefer that
pancakes.
I prefer that NC State would play their noon games in November, yes, or even October. I wish all of the September games were at night. I do, but that's not the reality of how the world works. So,
but let's get mad at the world.
Well, you could get mad like the year where they played like 8 noon games in a row. I think it was 17, where they just ended up playing noon game after noon game after noon game. I go the other way because the last 2 years they've all been at night, and I'm like, hey man. When I was there in November for the Boston College game, I was like, what would be really nice right now is if this game was at noon and not late in the afternoon.
No way. What is your noon tailgate like? What's your noon tailgate setup? Because
I'm 48. The tailgate is the same every time. Now, Rand has a primo parking spot out in the woods. Okay. And his buddy Bill has a truck, brings the grill. There's plenty of space. We go over there. It's shaded, so that's good for those noon games when it's crazy hot. So great spot. Shouts to Bill. But I'm 40, dude. I'm 48. Okay.
What does that mean? Do you stop eating?
No. What that means
is, do you
is
stop living?
No. The Florida State game, I haven't been that drunk in 15 years, and it takes me a good 2 weeks to recover from something like that. That Florida State game was at night.
What's in the cup?
There was Fireball. There was not, and it wasn't the fake Fireball. It was the real Fireball, not the gas station Fireball. There was too many beers. It was just the length of time. I'm a person who likes a nap, Anthony.
I enjoy it. I mean, I don't.
So I can't get out of the Carter Finley at 2 and drink till 8 and think I'm going to be functional. That's not real life for me anymore.
What time are you getting in the stadium though? Let's just walk this back.
That
so
night?
we got a noon kick. We got a noon kick.
Oh,
are you watching warm ups? What do you watch? You watching?
It depends if I'm working or not. I went to a lot of games last year.
Well, aren't we always working on the podcast? We're working around the clock.
We are, but that's not the same when you don't have to write.
Okay.
So I did have to write for the home games last year, but not all of them. I did take off for that Florida State game because my high school friends, Mike and Rob, came into town. So we went over to the stadium and tore it up.
Okay.
So I can't do that on the regular is what I'm saying to you.
Okay. So
I probably can't even do that once a year. That should be like a once every 5-year thing.
The noon kick is terrible because you gotta be in there a little early, right? You're not gonna show up at noon on the dot.
I would prefer the Marshall game was at noon, yes, but I understand why ESPN, ABC put the game at noon.
Does this help State at all, though? Is this exposure
when you're it's a national broadcast versus? I mean, it's 2023. What helps at this point? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. The paradigm has shifted, right?
Yeah.
What do recruits care about? Do they care about Notre Dame? We got Brandon Miller, MF and Michael Jordan before he gets drafted by Michael Jordan. What do the youths care about at this point? I don't know. I do not have those answers for you. Does a recruit care if the game's at noon? I don't know. Do they care if it's on national TV? I don't know. Does Notre Dame get recruits because they're on NBC? Let me ask you a serious question. Do you have Hulu? No, you have YouTube.
YouTube TV.
Okay, so you have YouTube. Do you actually know what channel anything's on, or does YouTube tell you where the game is and go watch it?
It's all alphabetical. Shouts to YouTube. I appreciate the alphabetical listing.
By the event, not by the channel.
No, by the channel.
Oh, okay.
So ABC.
So you still know channels then? Well, I have Hulu. I have no idea what channel anything is on because it puts a picture up on my little home screen that says, here's the US Open. And I click on the picture that says US Open. I have no idea what channel it's on. Not a single clue.
That's an interesting point. No, sometimes you got to dig for it, especially ACC Network or something like that.
You just said it was alphabetical.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, you got to go digging in the guide listing. It's not on one of the top little blobs up top. It's alphabetical, so it's real quick. It's like a double tap. Bang. We're in. We're going. I don't know.
What do you think? You're good? You're coming back? What are we going to do?
I could come back. As long as there's no echo. I mean, I need to make sure that my sound is correct.
All right, we're working on it. We got some wireless mics on the way too for our next Pizza with My Peeps.
Are they going to now? Hang on 1 second. Is NC State going to win this noon kickoff game against Notre Dame? And do you always bet the under in the first half of a noon game? Because who the hell is ready to play at noon o'clock?
I think NC State is going to beat Notre Dame this year. I do not. Notre Dame's pretty good.
Yeah.
The problem, I think Notre Dame's won 28 straight games against ACC teams in the regular season. They lost to Clemson in the championship game in the pandemic year, and they've won all of the games that they played in the regular season. They basically have won, including a game against Clemson up at under the touchdown Jesus there. Notre Dame is stronger on offensive and defensive line than every program in the ACC, including Clemson. Every program. So when they play them, they dominate them up front, and teams in the ACC aren't used to playing smash mouth teams anymore. Boston College was like the last remnant of what we would consider a smash mouth team.
So should we fire the coach?
Everywhere or
every coach in the ACC?
Well, they can't beat Notre Dame. So that's you would have to fire everyone because nobody can beat them, even Dabo.
Well, listen, I think that they could come eat pizza. The offensive line, let's talk about it. Defensive line, let's talk about it. Let's get a square pizza. Let's hit the gym afterwards. My brothers are both they're monsters. Work out, come see Anthony. The family take care of you. Let's win the offensive line battles here.
Go check him out, Anthony Guerra, Oakwood Pizza Box, oakwoodpizzabox.com. Order your pizza online.
Yeah, it's easier.
All right, I'm coming in for my square on Friday. I'll see you there.
Thank you, guys.